Hello and welcome to Business Xpose TV. My name is Aldwyn Altuney, your host today, and it is with great pleasure that I introduce a wonderful guest we have, the lovely Cydney O'Sullivan, who is responsible for my new book that has just come out today. Yay, thank you, Cydney. So I've got this book which has got Arnold Schwarzenegger in it and a whole lot of other thought leaders around Australia, and I've just received the hot copies in my hand today, and the lovely Cydney has made it all possible. So a little bit about Cydney. We're going to be talking today about how to build a celebrity brand using books, and also how you can become a best-selling author, as we are with this book. We are best-selling authors. Now, Cydney was born in LA and in California, and she's now based in Sydney, and she's a multiple best-selling author. She's an award-winning international speaker and communications consultant, and she helps experts and businesses stand out from their competitors. She's featured as one of the top 10 Australian motivational speakers, and in the best-selling books, The World's Greatest Speakers, Motivational Speakers Australia and Motivational Speakers America, with highly esteemed celebrities such as Brian Tracy, Les Brown, Amanda Gore, Allan, Pease and Suze, Orman. Hello and welcome, Cydney.
Thank you for the beautiful bio, Aldwyn. So thanks for the nice introduction.
Oh, you're most welcome.
We're in the industry, so we talk about bios and headshots, and we got to remember to talk everyday language, right?
And there's so much more in your bio, actually. So if people read the show notes in YouTube, they'll see the rest of the bio. So that was just a little sneak peek. But really, you're really an exceptional lady, and you've gone through so many ups and downs in your life, and you just keep coming back and you keep pushing through, and you just never cease to amaze me. So you know, can you share a little bit about your journey of why you first started to get into books in the first place, and a little bit about your history?
Well, Aldwyn, I always loved reading. I was one of those kids that would be on holidays, and I had an amazing childhood. So let me tell you a little bit about my growing up, because it's actually quite fascinating. I don't get to talk about it very often, but you and I have got a good chunk of time here. So yes. I was born in America. I'm an actual California girl. Maybe not necessarily a blonde California girl. That's maybe not so natural. But I was born in LA. But then my dad got offered a job in Hong Kong in Asia when I was just 4 years old, and so we moved over to Hong Kong. And I grew up in a really international community, which was lovely. It was a brilliant life. That was I don't want to give my age away, but it was back in when Hong Kong was still a colony of England. It was a very safe place to live. So I grew up in this country that was just full of all different international people who had amazing stories. And I think that kind of opened my eyes up to a different way of life. You know, a lot of us just don't get exposure to all those different cultures. And it's one of the reasons that I really love Sydney, Australia, actually, and ended up living here in Australia, because we have a really great multicultural environment here as well. But anyway, I was one of these kids that was fascinated with all the different cultures and all the different people I was meeting, and I loved to read books about them. I loved reading romance novels, you know, which is probably why I'm single, because, you know, you think you're going to meet one of those guys that's like totally dysfunctional as in the romance novels. But I also love to read. I love to read biographies. I love to read about other people. So I love to read movie star biographies and stuff, you know, the stories of these amazing people that you'd see on the big screen. So it's kind of always been a passion of mine to follow celebrities. I've got one of those brains that, you know, when you're doing trivia and they want to know what the name of some celebrity's baby is, you know, I have all that stuff in my head. And when I was married, my husband and I used to be really good at trivia together, because he knew everything that ever happened in sport and I knew everything that ever happened in entertainment, right? So it's just what you store in your head. So funnily enough, my husband and I actually were very, very lucky. We were very good together in business. So I moved over here from about 30 years ago now. I'd left Hong Kong when I was about 18, so I had this brilliant upbringing, and went to live in LA. Didn't really fit in. Felt like it was a very small town, LA, where I was living. We were living in the suburbs. And I started traveling, and I ended up in Australia, and very luckily met a wonderful man who became the father of my children. My tip for anybody out there: make sure you marry a good man, because you may have children with them and you're going to be stuck with them for the rest of your life, right? So
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Lucky for me. Yeah. Lucky for me, it was a good one. And anyway, so we started running businesses. We started building businesses together. He was actually the first person who believed in me. So I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. And I love my parents very much. But they used to always say to me, oh, you're such a dreamer. You have such rose-colored glasses on. What's wrong with you? Like, you know, why don't you see the world as it really is? And I wanted to have my own business so bad. I actually started my first business in high school. I got a summer job working for a production company. I don't think you've heard this story, Aldwyn, but my dad was a TV censor in Hong Kong. My stepfather, my mother remarried. My dad left us there in Hong Kong, and my mum remarried. So she married this guy who was a TV censor, and he got me a job working in a production company making TV commercials. And they thought that I would just make the coffee or the tea, you know, because I was the high school intern. And I noticed after a couple of days that they had all these models coming and going that were really unprofessional. These girls would show up late, or they'd want to be paid right then. And they're trying to run these TV ads for all these clients, and the models are being really unreliable. And I'm thinking, I have all these high school friends that are sitting at home who would love to be in TV commercials, right? So I started actually getting all my friends to come in. I suggested to the owner of the agency, would it be all right if I brought in some models for you? And he was like, yeah. So he gave me, so I set up my whole little subdivision of the company in no time. All my friends were coming in, and we were registering them as models and taking photos, and we built a whole portfolio. He was like, don't go back to school. Stay here and run my modeling agency, right? So my parents were like, no, you got to go back to school. So I think I was about 15. But it made me very popular. And I also, like you, we started doing TV commercials, because the clients would come in and they would say, well, we like her. We'll have her in our ad. So I did actually a really cool Pepsi commercial, because I used to ride a skateboard, and they were doing, that was when skateboards just came out. And so I did skateboarding around Hong Kong for a Pepsi ad. So for a while there, I was like, everywhere I went, the locals would say, oh, it's the Pepsi girl. So I got into TV like you very early, you know, and loved it. If I had advice from anybody, I would say, believe in yourself. Honestly, there's so many people who tell you what you can't do in life. Unfortunately, there's just not enough people telling you to just go for it. And that's why you and I have so much fun together, because we're living a life of passion. We get to do stuff that we love now because we believed in ourselves. We backed ourselves, right? And yep. You would have had people tell you that you were a dreamer, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, they always have a better way of doing things. You know, people always have their thoughts on what you're doing that's right and what you're doing that's wrong, and how you should do things better. And, you know, I mean, I'm 43. I've never married or had kids, so that's definitely not normal. That's not normal for a 43-year-old business person.
Maybe you're just fussy. Maybe you're just waiting for the right one.
Yes. Well, I have been, and I haven't wanted to settle for average. And I know that in certain areas of my life that I am average in certain areas. However, yeah, I haven't been willing to settle for average. And, you know, I'm going to America soon, and who knows, maybe I will meet the father of my future
children. Well, we can start manifesting. We can put it out there, can't we? We can actually, we're going to a big event. So everyone's coming with me. We're actually going to a big media launch event in LA, and we're going to be celebrating our book. We're going to be celebrating the success of our Think Big book. Yay. And we're going to do just a really fun event where we teach people how to get in the media, which is your specialty, you know, how to position yourself for media, and how I will help them with their, you know, how to get their book written, and, you know, and I'll tell you about what I do there. So it's just going to be really good fun. We've got another speaker, Carrie, who's coming, and she's going to talk about Facebook advertising. So it's a power group. Unfortunately, we hardly ever get to do this kind of stuff because we're always in different countries, right? Usually, like, you're going off, Kerry's going off to China and Perth right after our LA event. You're going off to Hawaii, I think, right?
Yes.
And I'm coming back to Sydney to run an event here. So we're, anyway, this is going to be a really fantastic event where the three of us get together, and we will be filming it. So you never know, maybe it'll become another product for us.
Yeah,
so, awesome. Anyway, so I came to Australia. My parents had always told me that I was a dreamer. I was having business ideas ever since I was a kid, as you know, as I demonstrated. And I would come up with all these ideas, and my parents would be like, just get a job, you know, just settle down, just get a job. So I actually went and worked in engineering for a few years. I can't even believe I did it now, but what I did do, I used to do project management. I used to, that I use a lot. Like putting this book together was an enormous project management job.
Yeah.
And so I do draw on my background of working in IT engineering, you know, for those years where I learned how to do project management. But what I ended up doing was I came to Australia on a holiday, loved it, and met an Australian, fell in love. And he was the first person to say to me, he had a good job. He said, I will back you. If you want to start a business, I believe in you. We can live off my salary for a while. Just don't send us broke. Like as long as you can do a break even, we're okay for a while. So I decided, I actually went to the library and I read some books on business because I didn't know anything about it. We didn't have the internet back then. And that's where I started, you know, that's why I love books. So it's actually, I think that's probably one of the reasons I love doing business books, because when I got somebody backing me and saying, start your own business, where are we going to learn? So I went to the library and I went and got books and they taught me step by step, right? So I bought a rundown deli. I decided food, I'd worked in restaurants. I thought I'll be pretty safe with food. I know how to run a restaurant, and I did great. I took over a rundown restaurant, turned it around. It was actually a kind of a deli, turned it into a thriving catering business in the first year, and we sold it at a profit. I think I had it for about 2 years. We sold it at a profit, and I was like, oh, I want to do it again. But I was a bit tired. I mean, it is exhausting when you're building those kind of businesses. And then I went and worked. One of the things that I realized after running my business, though, for a year and a half or so was that I needed to know more about marketing. What I realized very quickly was, if you don't know how to get customers in your shop, or you know that you, and I found out actually after I'd been in that business for about 6 or 8 months, and I'm glad I didn't know this until after, because I was quite young and impressionable still then. I found out that 5 owners had gone broke before me in that business.
Wow.
But I'm lucky I didn't know that, because there were times when I thought, you know, I just basically what I did was I just kept saying to the customers, what do you think I should be doing with this business? Like, what do you think? And it turned out I was on a main road and there was a lot of rich people in that neighborhood. So they couldn't actually park. So they weren't going to be able to come to me. But this is where the internet is so good, is that if people can't necessarily find you, like you can work from anywhere now, right? You can work from anywhere. As long as you get in front of your target market and make it accessible for them to get to you. And that's one of the great things that we love about books, is that we can actually now take advantage of something like Amazon, where we can actually tell people what we do. So as you and I did, we wrote a chapter that really tells people where our area of expertise is. And then we put in a book. We're all giving the book away. We're all giving that book out, or selling it, you know, to our customer base. So it's getting us all cross promotion. And then it's on Amazon, and we're posting it all over social media, right? We can send it out on LinkedIn. We can invite people to grab a copy of our book. And it just becomes a really good advertising medium. And that's what I did with my food business, was I put a big sign on the top of my shop saying catering and the phone number, and started going to them. I started taking my service to them if they couldn't come to me. So built that one up, went and did my marketing degree at night at what we'd call in America's community college, or here in Australia we call it TAFE. Did a 3-year marketing degree, realized, you know, enough to get to know how to do marketing better, and then went back and opened another restaurant, and I worked corporate in marketing, which was interesting while I was doing my degree. Then I went back and opened another restaurant, and that one I was able to make like $100,000 in profit in just 6 months. Like it gets easier. Every time you do it, it's easier. Meanwhile, my husband and I started buying our own home. I started renovating as well. And then we bought into the company that my husband worked for. And he and his partners grew that into a $1 billion business, actually. So basically what we did was we started learning with small businesses, and we kept, he said to me, you know, every time he would reach a growth phase with this big business, he'd say, I learned so much in the small businesses, like those little ones that we started and sold, you know, all these valuable lessons, because business is business, right? So. Yeah. So we ended up building this huge business. We did a big float on the stock market. It was so exciting. Went down to the stock market and watched our shares go public of our company. And we were worth like $60 million. I couldn't believe it. It was like, whoa, wow. I wasn't even 40 out of I think I was about 38, right? And wow. And we were worth like 60 million. And I'm going, I can go and live with Oprah. I can get a house in Beverly Hills. And then the tech crash happened. We actually floated about a month before the tech crash, and our shares just got decimated. Like, so we went from like 60 million down to like, I don't know, 10 or something, you know. Anyway, so then was rebuild again, you know, but from a bigger base, right? Now we're not like starting from nothing like we were when we first started. In fact, we bought our first business with a $20,000 loan, which we sold all the equipment in the business to a leasing company and leased it back. So we started with less than nothing, right? So
Wow.
and we built it up and we kept building up, and then we're buying real estate. And so I've done a lot of different things, and eventually I got to a point where I was unhappy in my life because I needed to do some work on myself, as we do. You know, you start, unfortunately, a lot of driven people. So clearly I'm driven, like you figured that out, right?
Yes.
So a lot of driven people, it's actually because we're just like, what's the next goal? What's the next goal? And it can be very difficult to sustain relationships when you're like that, because you're so goal focused that you quite often, you know, you annoy people around you because you're not being sensitive to their needs, or you're not, you know, you're being self-centered as you do. Anyway, I take responsibility. I didn't appreciate my marriage, and I divorced my husband and moved. We're great now. We have a really great relationship now. But I then became a single mother with young kids, lots of money. I had all this real estate. I started buying and selling and investing in real estate. But I just still wasn't happy. Like, I kept feeling like I wasn't happy. It was like, what's wrong with me? I have all this money. I have children. I have great relationship with my, even when I was married, I was like, I have a great man. What is wrong with me? And I realized it was because I still hadn't found I wasn't fulfilled, because I was just working for the money. I wasn't feeling, and you know what, the weird thing is, when you're just working for the money, is you keep losing it anyway. You know, like you get it and then you lose it because because it's not a fulfilling enough, passion-driven enterprise, right? So I decided that I'd get a mentor. So I got this business mentor, very expensive business mentor. She was actually a billionaire, so she was really cool to hang out with. And she said to me, you should start writing books and teach other women how to create wealth, and you could start a whole community. And I thought, oh, that would be lovely. And I had this whole vision. Oh my gosh, I'm going to help all these people who don't have any money. I'm going to teach all these women about creating wealth. And I started writing books, but it was hard. It was actually really hard writing a book. Like, you know, I didn't have anyone to show me how. Like, you know, the funniest thing was, like, my mentor was actually many times published author, and she didn't actually realize why I was having so much trouble with it. Like, she was like, why can't you just write a book? And I was like, well, so just to give you an up, she said, like, just do an outline for me. So because at that time, I was doing a lot of stock market investing and a lot of real estate investing, and I did almost everything on spreadsheets. So I did my first book outline on a spreadsheet. I handed it to her and I was like, here it is. She goes, what are we supposed to do with this? Like, what are we supposed to do with this spreadsheet, right? So that was like how far my head was from where it is today, where I help people get their books written and published all the time. So I understand how difficult it is to get your message out and get it told. And that's kind of my gift now. So it took me about a year. I spent a fortune on ghostwriters and mentors, and eventually I figured out that a lot of it is actually your own self-sabotage. A lot of it is your own fear of actually getting a book out, you know. So, but I finally got out of my own way. And what we're going to talk about, which is building your celebrity brand, it actually was, I stumbled upon it in my quest to figure out how to get my books written and published. So I clearly had plenty of material. I had done all this real estate investing. I'd done stock market investing. I had done, you know, built businesses, all kinds of businesses. But I could talk about parenting. I had no lack of knowledge and experience, things that I could talk about. What I was missing was, like, how do I just break it down to one thing at a time, you know, clarity of message. Like, how can I break this into something, take all my knowledge and make it into like a book series or something, you know, that I can roll out in time and makes it manageable. So eventually the GFC came along and I got hit again. So I had all this real estate, and the global financial crisis came, and suddenly I got whacked with real estate and took another big loss, lost about $8 million. And I was very upset. I resorted to books again. I started reading books about depression, and I realized that, I realized that I was suffering from what's called affluenza, which is when you attach your self-worth to your net worth. So I became very depressed because I'd lost all this money, and I thought it mattered, but you know what? It doesn't actually matter to anyone but you. It doesn't. The kind of people that are going to like you and be your friend because you've got money, you don't want those friends anyway, right? So actually, it's a really good clean out. You find out who your real friends are.
Yeah.
And it was really cool because at that time I'd been investing a lot in getting my books out. And so I'd started going to these big events, these big book training events with a guy called Mark Victor Hansen and his partner Jack Canfield. And they had just written they've been writing the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. And they've now sold like 500 million of these Chicken Soup for the Soul books. They were such a popular brand. And Mark was really supportive of me. He was like, just get the books out. Let's do it. Let's do a Chicken Soup for the self-made woman, right? Like we'll do this, we'll do that. But because I couldn't figure out how to write the books, I couldn't get out of my own way, I just kept making it hard. So suddenly I lose all this money, I'm very depressed. I thought I got to tell my mentors. I told them all, I've lost all this money. And they were so cool. They came back to me and they went, oh, girlfriend, you haven't even been bankrupt yet. They were like, entrepreneurs, that's the entrepreneur's journey, is you make it, you lose it, you learn, right? You make it, you lose it, you learn. Until you learn how to like hang on to it, until you learn how to make it and keep it. Right. So I was thinking about it one day and I thought, I want to learn how to make $1 million on the internet. I want to learn how to make my money back, but I want to make it back fast. So I thought, how can I do that? I will interview. I don't have time to go and do everybody's trainings. Like it was taking me ages. I was going to all these seminars and buying all these programs, but I didn't have time to do them all. So I thought, you know what I'll do? I'll interview them like this, right? Like we're doing. Yeah. I will interview some of the most successful people I know on the internet, and I'll ask them how they would make $1 million fast. And then I'll implement their strategies, and I'll write a book about it. So that was what I did. So that's kind of how I stumbled on the whole Celeb Branding thing. So what I did was I sent a letter out to the people that I'd been meeting by going to their events and going to their courses. I made a dream list of people that I thought would be awesome to interview. And I sent about 40 of them an invitation to be in this book that I was calling The Fast Millionaire Formula. And amazingly, about 30 of them accepted the invitation. And I then did interviews like this. I got them on and I started asking them questions like, what would you do if you were starting over and you want to make $1 million? How would you do that, right? And I recorded them all and I wrote the book. So what was amazing though, actually, and I nearly got in my own way. I was about 3/4 of the way through and I thought, oh God, what if the book's terrible? What if nobody wants to read it? What if it's bad? What if people criticize me? So this is very normal. If you guys have ever been thinking about writing a book and then you find your self-sabotage is coming up, it even happens for me. And I'm now a 16 times best-selling author. So finally, once I got over it, actually the best thing that ever happened to me was one lady wrote me the most horrible review and she ripped into me on every level and it was done. And now I don't care. You know what? Say what you will, I don't care. So it's the best thing that can ever happen when you face your fears, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so I ended up doing, like writing this book. It's my publishers didn't like the Fast Millionaire Formula. They were like, I got a New York publisher, got a publishing deal, did it all right. My publishers were like, we don't like that name. We don't want to be associated with Get Rich Quick because it was right on the back of the GFC. We don't want it to sound like it's Get Rich Quick. So they got me to change it to Social Marketing Superstars. And it became a book about, so then I changed the structure of the book and it became much more a book about using social media. How would you build? It became my Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. So it's actually been out, I think it's been out about 5 years now, and it's still just as good a read as it was when I wrote it, because I realized very quickly that when you're writing about social media and internet, you've got to be careful not to be obsolete before your book comes out, right? So what I did was I focused on time-honored strategies that these guys had used in their careers that you could still apply no matter what stage in your business you're in to create wealth, you know, especially now using things like social media and the internet. So I then kind of went on. So when I went out and I started speaking about my book, thinking that everybody is going to want to hire me to teach them how to make millions of dollars. But no, nobody wanted to know how to make millions of dollars. It was funny. People were saying to me, I think I only had one woman say to me, so what is it? What's the Fast Millionaire Formula, right? The rest of the people were all coming up to me when I'd speak about it and they'd be like, how did you get those interviews? How did you get those people to write that book with you? So I realized there was a whole course in that. And I started selling $10,000 mentoring programs to help people write and publish their book and get celebrities to be in their books with them and stuff. So since then, I've done like multiple books, and now I'm really just kind of doing it as the main focus of my business. I'm launching a whole book series called Celebrity Success Secrets, and I've just kind of really embraced it. And we can talk about that now. Okay, that's my whole story. Hopefully I've covered everything there, but
awesome.
But I realized that what I started realizing was in the process of doing this, not only do people get fantastic clarity when they get their book written, or they even just a chapter like this book that we've all just done as a group project, but you get fantastic clarity of your message when you have to distill it down to a few pages. A lot of my book clients actually took chapters in this because they were like, okay, now I've got my book. Like, now that I've written this chapter, now I've got clarity over my message. And then the beautiful thing is that once you've written your book, you can actually turn that into a whole training program, right? It can become a whole business, really. And so what I found was that it happened. I stumbled on it by accident, but when you start pairing yourself up with high-level celebrities, it just lifts your credibility dramatically, right? So talk to us about that in the media, how that relates to the media. Basically, people were just so impressed. Yes. Immediately, I started becoming perceived as a celebrity because I had celebrities in my books.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, the book is a form of media, really. So being in a book with Arnold Schwarzenegger on the cover, as other thought leaders could also do, that was one option when we went into this book project, is that we could get a personalized cover like this. So I mean, that's massive, to be in a book with Arnold Schwarzenegger on the cover. He's got millions of followers and is a huge superstar. It absolutely automatically lifts you up. And the beauty of when you get media exposure as well, and you can appear in media with other celebrities as well, and that also lifts your credibility. And you could end up on a TV show on a panel with other celebrities. And can
I just say, before we move on from Arnold, he inspired us to write this book. That's why we actually saw him speak at an event. I got invited to come and speak at an event, and he was the keynote. And I just was so inspired by his speech that I was like, you know what, there's a book in this. We got to write this. This is just amazing. He's such an amazing, inspirational guy. And that's what made us think about the whole Think Big concept, was like, so we actually strategically we wanted to position ourselves as thought leaders as well, because that's actually kind of the new wave, right? It's the new wave is to be a TED talker, a TED speaker, or a thought leadership person, as opposed to just any old speaker or any old expert, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, talk to us about the media.
So it's huge. It's huge. I mean, I've interviewed people like Hugh Jackman, Cyndi Lauper, Russell Crowe, and I use that in my marketing. I've worked in the media. I've interviewed those people, and there's experiences I can share about that. What was that like, interviewing those people? What channels did I have to go through to get those interviews, et cetera, et cetera. There's a whole world around how that became possible, and you want to really use that in your marketing as much as possible, because it does give you celebrity status. Okay, I'm not a celebrity as such. However, it gives you that status, and
but what's really cool is, are you allowed to use those interviews? Do you own those interviews? Or did you work for it?
No, I was working for News Limited at the time. So unfortunately, I don't own the interviews, although I would say that I may own the copyright on the stories, possibly. I haven't actually looked into that. Because
it's worth looking into, because one of the things that I say to a lot of my book clients is, get a celebrity forward in your book, for instance. As soon as people start working with me so a lot of people hire me to help them plan their book out. What we do is we think about, what's the business that we're building here, starting with the book. The book is the foundation, right? So what are we building here? So we'll talk about what do we want to position you as the expert in? What's the follow-on from there? What program are you going to sell? What could you train people? What could you talk about passionately if you had to, every day for the rest of your life? And so we actually, in the early stages, I say to them, start thinking about who could write the foreword, who could do some expert contribution chapters. So one of my books that I just kind of pounded out right after I got my first book done was How to Be Wealthy Now, which was my original book that I'd wanted to get out there to help people who were struggling with money. It was my Create Wealth book. And I invited some people that I respected that were making a lot of money to write some little chapters for me, just to put some contributing stuff in. And you can do that with celebrities. You can actually say, would you, especially if you've already got interviews, like some of us have actually been doing podcasts, or, you know, like you've probably interviewed some really interesting people who have a lot of followers, right?
Yes, I have. Well, David Icke is someone I've interviewed for my show Truth Xpose TV, and he's a controversial figure out there. Some people love him.
So many followers, right? And so you would own that. You would own you'd be able to publish that with his permission.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So you can just get it transcribed, and then you can stick it in your books or in your training programs. Yeah. So it's a really easy way of starting to use that Celeb branding to help build your profile by borrowing. And what I found was, so then I started with all the interviews that I did for the Social Marketing Superstars book. I had interviewed all these millionaires. So I turned them into a program called Millionaires Academy. I turned them into an online membership site where I had recorded all these video interviews. So I actually put them into a membership site where people could go and listen to these interviews that I had done to write the book.
Nice.
There was only one of the authors wouldn't give me permission to use her interview, but the rest of them were all like, yeah, absolutely. You can, you know, they'd done it out of a sense of generosity, agreeing to participate in the book. So now people can go to my Millionaires Academy site and they can get a free opt-in to get some of those interviews, right? So what I found, though, is that I'm meeting millionaires all the time. I work with really cool people. Like I'm doing all this stuff now with you know, helping my book clients, and I go to seminars, and the guys that are working on my online stuff are bringing in millions. You know, all these people that I'm around. I could actually, I will start doing like what you're doing, which is I'll get those millionaires onto interviews, and then I get to use their content as part of my training programs, my books, right, with their blessing. Yeah, because it's good exposure for them too. Like, why do you think the media, all those celebrities agree to be in all those magazines? You know, I'm sure they don't like it being, you know, every week being accused of having an affair with somebody else. But it's all about what is it that they say? You know, if you're being talked about, it's better than not being talked about, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And people love to talk about celebrities and love to know what celebrities are up to. So we're all kind of little sticky beaks, aren't we? And now with social media, of course, we can do that. We can stalk people on social media.
We can really stalk them. Yeah, we can. My daughter was showing me the other day that, you know, Rob Kardashian, you know, she had her phone and we were having our hair done, and she was showing me that Rob Kardashian was selling the bed that his ex, that Black China had sex with, and was like sending him the videos. She was like live streaming it or something. So like, it's like the ultimate in stalking now, you know.
Yes, there's some sick
now
people.
We can watch the celebrities have their marital spats live.
Yes, it's a fascinating world out there. And of course, with the power of social media and the power of online TV shows, you know, it's fantastic now how we can connect with celebrities like never before using social media. And, you know, Twitter is a fantastic tool to use, you know, to connect with celebrities. Like you hear Oprah saying, tweet that, you know, tweet this, tweet that. So celebrities love Twitter, and not enough people use Twitter to connect with celebrities.
I actually connect. I connect with a lot of them on Facebook Messenger. It's amazing how many of them, or Google Plus, because a lot of people don't use Google Plus, so it's not as crowded, right? So there was one guy that I really, really would have loved to have had in my book, but I just couldn't get it. I just couldn't get his. The problem is with a lot of these celebrities, you got to work through their management teams, and they delay everything. You know, you might talk to the celebrity directly, but then when you've got to go through the management team, you just go into a giant queue of people who want something from these celebrities, right? So, but there was Muhammad Yunus, who's a Nobel Prize winner, who started microeconomic lending with his Grameen Foundation. He won a Nobel Prize for it. I was actually sitting back when I was feeling unfulfilled. I was telling you I had all this money, but I felt like I just didn't have any connection to the world. I was watching Oprah one night, and he came out and he talked about, on Oprah, he just won the Nobel Prize, and he was talking about how he'd started with a $20 US loan, and he ended up helping 100 million people out of poverty. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. So I got really excited about microeconomic lending, and I started going around. And this is the power of doing this kind of stuff that you and I do. If you actually start telling everybody about how you really want to meet a celebrity, it's amazing how quickly it happens, don't you think? Like, I never would have believed that I would get to meet George Clooney, but I got to meet George Clooney because I kept telling everybody that I wanted to meet George Clooney. It was the same thing with Muhammad Yunus, Professor Yunus. I kept saying to people, have you heard about what this guy is doing? He's doing this microeconomic lending. You can do it with Kiva, or you can do it with, Grameen. I really want to meet him. He's really inspired me. And the next thing I know, somebody's inviting me to a party to meet him. So like 2 days before, I'm like, really want to meet him. I hope I get to meet him in person. He walks in, nobody else knows who he is. So I spend the whole evening with him, right? So and anyway, then later when I decided to do my book, I really wanted him to be in the book, but I ended up connecting with him on Google Plus, so it's sometimes and he was all keen to do it, but you got to get their management teams on board. So in the end, I profiled the Hunger Project, which is a very good, very, very good, they do a lot of good works. So I got to put my philanthropic thing into the book, but yeah, they're all good. There's lots of really great people out there doing great things. I think the main thing is that I try to make sure I'm supporting some good cause with every project I do. And that keeps the heart in what I'm doing. Yeah. And you do that too, right? You do that with your animal activism.
Yes, I do with my animal action events. I've just done the 11th event. And yeah, it's very important to think beyond yourself, actually. And a lot of celebrities do this, actually. A lot of celebrities have charity projects. So if you can align with their charity projects, they're much more likely to come on board if you're aligned with what they do. And
yeah, in fact, they're more motivated often by heart projects because they don't need your money. They don't need your... Yes. They don't need your, adoration. They get all of that. But if you say you're going to help them raise money for something that's really important to them, and then you can connect with them on a heart level.
Yes, huge. And back to, manifesting things quickly. We are so powerful. They say we only use about 10% of our brains or our brain power. And, it really is extraordinary when people visualize, they visualize what they want, they feel what they want, they see it. There's a John Kehoe talks about this. John Kehoe's book, he talked about how when he was broke, he just visualized abundance. He saw abundance in everything. He saw, like, for example, if there wasn't one tree in front of him, he saw multiple trees. He said there's an abundance of trees, and he just noticed abundance and felt the abundance. And then 5 years later, he's a multimillionaire, in a penthouse in Sydney and doing seminars. Just 5 years later, and he just actively pictured and felt abundance in all areas of his life. And it's phenomenal how quickly you can manifest things when you really believe it and see it and feel it and allow it to happen as well. Allow it.
And you're so right, Aldwyn, you're so right. Like I need to do more of it because I am a powerful manifester. I've been invited on Oprah because I told everybody I wanted to go on Oprah, so they started making it happen.
Right.
I didn't end up going. I got freaked out. I was like, oh, who am I? Who am I to go on Oprah? What if I can't talk? What if I can't talk with authority about my topic, right? Ha ha ha. But it's actually taken me a good 5 years of working on my confidence to get this confident. I wasn't born this confident. So you just, it's. Do you find that when you're working with your clients, they do get a bit freaked out about the whole media thing? And
oh, absolutely. We are so hard on ourselves. All of us are. We're all hard on ourselves, and people fear success more, I think, than failure.
Failure's easy. We all know how to do failure.
Yes.
Like we're all really comfortable with failure. It's like that you get into that like lovely kind of slump where you could just be super lazy. You don't have to put your makeup on or even get dressed. You can stay in your pajamas all day.
Exactly. And that's why it's called comfort zone, because it's comfortable. People are comfortable in comfort zone. People don't like to get uncomfortable because by nature, I would say human beings by nature are designed to, as women, we're designed to, pick the berries and have little dances and little festivities with other women in the tribes, and the men designed to go out hunting and bring the food back to the tribes, and they come together and sit around a campfire and maybe play some music and do some dancing. Really, if you look back to how we're designed originally as tribes way back when, it was probably a pretty easy life, whereas now we've created a monster for ourselves in some ways. In other ways, it's fantastic that we can connect with the world like we do here, and we can get our messages out to so many people. And back then the celebrities, I guess, in the tribes was the tribal elders. They were the celebrities. They were the wise people in the tribes. I don't know that all our celebrities are actually wise. However,
I was thinking so. Maybe the Kardashians would have been the head of our tribe, right? But it's very cool. What's really cool is, like, I don't know if I was I went to lunch the other day with some friends who are not in the industry, like doing what we do all the time. And it was nice. It was really lovely to catch up with them. But I did feel that I couldn't really engage in their level of conversation. But what's really cool about this whole getting on doing interviews with each other, like you and I did one yesterday for my community, and now we're doing one for your community. Yes. And what's really cool is that we get to really stimulate our brains and hang around with people that we're like-minded with, right? Like that.
Yes.
I'm building this incredible community of power women around me just by default, you know, these really cool people like you that have this incredible expertise just because I set goals. And we were talking about this whole thing. So literally, I went on a big, really, really awful year last year, really bad year. It was a cleaning year, I now know. Like at the time I was like, why is this happening to me? I'm a good person. I'm just trying to do good things for people. Why am I going through all this illness and all this bad stuff? But then at the end of it, everything came, you know, bright, happy, and shining again. And I realized I had to do a cleansing. You know, sometimes your life gets full of clutter and stuff that you've accumulated and people that are hanging on to you that you got to get rid of. You just got to let them go. And if you won't let them go, then the universe comes in and rips them off, right? So,
yeah. Yes.
And if you've got a purpose and you've got a destiny to fulfill, right? So what happened was I decided to take some time off. I was quite a lot heavier. I was feeling really run down. And I decided to take some time off, went and got my medical checks done, and they found that I had breast cancer and digestive issue, cataracts. I'd really let myself go. So it was a big 5 surgeries, big cleanup year, lots of radiation, you know, I had to go through all that. My cancer had started to spread through my body. It's quite serious. Very, very lucky to have caught it. I have guardian angels, and, you know, they told me to go and get my breast scan. And so if you haven't had your breast scan, go get your breast scan, because I had no lumps. I had no physical symptoms. So if I hadn't have been told to go and get my breast scan, I would have probably died, because it had already started to spread through my lymph node system and would have probably been very, very difficult to reverse. So, but luckily we caught it early enough that they were able to do surgery and radiation. Chemo wouldn't work for me, so I was lucky I didn't have to do that. So I still have my hair, and even though it feels like wire now. Anyway, so it was a tough time. I had to stop working, and I got an opportunity to really slow down and take a few months off and really think about, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? And when you face death like that, it makes you think, how do I want to spend every day for the rest of my life? And I started thinking, what's really important to me? So I want to be there for my kids, for my family. But my kids don't really need me right now. They're in university. One of my daughters traveling around the world. So that meant that I was free to build my dream life. And I started really thinking about it. And that's when I started thinking, well, I love celebrities. I want to hang out with celebrities. I love helping people get their books out. And I manifested this amazing relationship with Pat Mesiti, who I met you through, who's really has the most beautiful community. He has a community of about 100,000 followers. He's got the most beautiful community. And I became the book mentor for his community. And I was able to launch a whole new business really quickly. And that was because I had my personal brand in place. So because I'd written these books, and because I'd been a publisher for a while, I'd been helping other people with their books, and I'd set that up, and it was kind of humming away in the background. Even though I couldn't go back to the business that I'd had when I got sick, because that one kind of got destroyed while I was sick, I was able to launch again from a position of you know, fresh new clarity. You can take your personal brand with you. You can take your celebrity with you wherever you go. So if you have to leave your job, or you have to go to another country, this is the beautiful thing about the internet, or about having been published. You get to take that with you wherever you go. Do you agree? You know, talk to us about that from a media standpoint, from what you do. It's like, you know, you get that media, you keep those clippings, right? You keep them and you use them and you put them on your website. Yeah.
Yes, and this is another media, really, and it's fantastic. I love it. I mean, so many people want to put a book out. So many people talk about it, and what I love about what you do is you give people an opportunity. All you have to do is do a chapter and you do the rest. So I love that, you know, and I mean, it may not be so good for you because there's more work for you. However, you've got a team that do that now, right? So so I love the fact, the power of the leveraging power of a book and media as well, the leveraging power to be able to get your message out to masses of people, and all you're doing is you're putting it together once. Like we're doing this interview now. We're doing it once, and people can now watch this forever. It's going to be on YouTube. And so the leveraging power is huge, particularly now people are so busy. Everyone's so busy nowadays. So I think, you know, you need to leverage as much as possible and share your message before it's too late, because life can be over in any moment. I had a friend this year died of cancer. He was 55 years of age. He performed at last year's Animal Action event, and this year he's dead. You know, he died, and he's only 55. He had lung cancer spread to his stomach, and he had chemo, and within a few months he was dead. And that can happen at any moment to anyone, and we need to not take life.
And I say to people, like, when in my 1-minute media pitch, you know, I say, like, the graveyards are full of people who took their stories with them. Don't let your story go to the grave. You know, take it, get it out, get it recorded. If not in a book, which I love, books are like timeless. You know, they're classic, and they're actually coming back into vogue. But and don't do it necessarily. Like, I have one client, we just finished his beautiful poetry book. He was just sitting writing books of poetry. He was sitting on the beach every day, like that beautiful picture behind you, writing his poetry. He actually trades the stock market for a living, but he would go down to the beach and he would write these beautiful poems. And he's actually a student of John Kehoe's that you mentioned, and you know, he was learning to be present, right, and appreciate all the small blessings. And he said to me, I just want to get my poems, you know, I just want to get them published. So we actually translated them from Russian to English. So he's got them in both languages. They're beautiful. He had a friend who was an amazing photographer. We filled the book with these beautiful images. His book turned into this work of art. He's so proud of it. And now he's got pictures of his grandchildren in there. Or they don't know yet. The book's coming out soon. He's going to surprise his grandchildren. But he's put pictures of his parents in there. So even if you don't, and now we actually think, we didn't start this project thinking that it was going to be something that would appeal to the masses, but I really think it will. I think it's going to be a great gift to the world, this book. So we started it as just a project for him to record his poems, and he was just going to give the book away to his family and friends. But it's actually become this really beautiful thing that is his legacy, and he is so happy with it. I'm so happy with it, you know, and I think it's going to touch a lot of people and make their lives happier. So I think it's just one of those things that get your story out, get clear on your story, get out there, start telling it, even if it's just at networking events, even if you're just going to Toastmaster, don't you think? Like, just get your story told and record it if possible for your kids, for your grandchildren, you know. Don't be one of those stories that nobody ever hears again, right?
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. And this show is about how to build a celebrity brand using books, and also how to become a bestseller. And Cydney and I, we can chat for hours literally on this topic. However, we've probably only got about 15 minutes left on the show. So could you just give Cydney some quick tips on how to first go about, okay, so you know you've got a great story, or maybe you're not quite sure what your story is yet. How do you go about actually starting this process of you know, having it? Well, in your case, in this case, it's about doing a chapter, right, in a book, whereas the other people that want to do a whole book.
They would contact me. My company is called Bestseller Success, so they would come over to the website or find me somehow, you know, or through you or whatever, you know, come and for the book. I mean, it's all of our information is in the book, right? Yes. Grab a copy of the book. And it's free right now. If you guys want to go and grab a free copy of the digital book, it's on celebritybookclub.com, right? Or over on Amazon, you can just go on to Kindle and grab your free copy. Only for the next couple of days, though. I think it's only for a couple of days. Okay. And then, anyway, so they contact. So when people actually work with me, it's a whole, like, we work together for as long as it takes. You know, it might be 18 months for some people because it's a work of art that they're working on, like John with his poetry book. Or it might be, but it's only been a year, and we finished that book. But it was a very slow process for him because it was a creative process. But for some people, I had one client that we just put his book out. He was very clear. He had a big event. He's a big public speaker. He wanted his book done. We got it done in 2 weeks. Literally, you know, he got me the manuscript. I went through, I checked it all. I fine-tuned it. We got the cover designed. We got it published, and we took it to bestseller. So how you take your book to bestseller. So this is what's really, for us, it was really exciting because our book was a bestseller before we even printed it, because we all put in orders for our book. So we actually had pre-orders because there was like 30 authors in it. We actually had pre-orders that took us to bestseller status before we even launched. We've now just gone to Amazon bestseller status as well because we're all promoting it. And how do I do that? I promote it to all my, you know, thousands of readers and stuff, and ask them to go and grab the book. And So that's kind of what we do to get our bestseller status. But the bestseller status it's fleeting. Like it only, it's like while your book is a bestseller, unless you continue to do media and that kind of stuff like you do and continue to drive traffic, or you really capture a niche in the market that's got long legs, that you can, a long tail, where you can keep selling your book over and over and over, and you're willing to invest in media and time to keep promoting it. Yep. But the process of getting your book written obviously depends on where you're at, how clear you are in your message. And I really just tell people, if you're going to do a signature book, like you're going to do a whole book, you're going to do a chapter, it's the same thing. Structure, you've got to structure it, right? And it'd be the same thing with your media, right?
Yeah.
What is the main points you want to get across in a small amount of time? Because you're not going to be able to put your entire lifetime of experience in a book. It doesn't matter how, you do not want to be doing a book that's that thick unless you are writing a Lord of the Rings or a, Game of Thrones. So so for most of us, we just want to write a 100 to 200 page book. So it's all about getting your structure in place. Like, what is the foundation? What is your key message that you need to get across? And that key message ideally positions you as an expert that down the track, people are going to be willing to pay $10,000 to $20,000 to $30,000 for your expertise, right? That's the big game. The big game is, or more, 100,000, because they love your technology so much they want to license it and bring it into their business, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I could go into great depth here, but hopefully that's the main thing, is get your structure right, and then you tell your story. You write it out. You talk about it. If you can't tell it, if you don't have the expertise already, do what I did. Go and interview a bunch of people who can. Go interview people who know what you want to know. Write that book. And guess what? You're the expert at the end of that process. It's brilliant. Yeah. The shortcut.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to the celebrity branding, I just want to say with celebrities, now celebrities are human beings like you and I, right? The only difference is that they've got in front of a lot more people. A lot more people know about them. So they've been able to leverage a lot more than you and I have at this point, right? So we're building our celebrity brand. However, the difference is that they've got millions of followers. We might have thousands of followers, or hundreds of thousands of followers. So that's the only difference, really. And that they're usually celebrities. They're very passionate about what they do.
You don't necessarily have to be a celebrity. Like one of my friends, I don't know her personally. She's my husband's client, my ex-husband's client. Natasha Oakley, and Devin Brugman is her partner. They just had a great idea, and they tried YouTube. It wasn't so great. Then they got into Instagram, and they were right for Instagram, right? So they started Bikini a Day. To me, this is like the most clever business in the world. Not only did they become celebrities, they became their own media, because they've got about 2 million followers last time I checked, right? So what's happened is they were attractive girls who worked in the fashion industry. They were a bit curvier than your traditional model, and they thought that there would be people who'd be interested. Women would be interested in seeing, how do you wear a bikini when you're a bit curvier than your traditional stick-thin model, right? So they started modeling beachwear on Instagram. It absolutely took off, and you'd think that it would be all men following them, which I think there is a healthy dose of men following them, but there's a lot of women following them too, because the reality is, as much as the media wants us to look, the fashion industry wants us to look at people who are stick thin, we actually want to look at people the public actually would like to see, how do you wear clothes when you have breasts? How do you wear clothes when you have curves, right? Show us clothes that we can actually wear, right? So that we can get ideas for how to look fashionable. Anyway, it took off. They've now got like 2 million followers. All day long, their doorbell goes with people delivering free goods to them that they're hoping that they will endorse. This is the life of the celebrity, right? Yep. All day long, it's like delivery guys. Would you like some free, perfume, some free makeup, some free clothes, free bikinis, free towels? Will you hold up my book on one of your Instagram posts? Because they have 2 million followers, and they get paid top dollar to model. Any of those clothes, they actually get paid. So one of my friends works for a fashion company, and they paid them to wear their clothes, and it works because it's advertising, right? So this is the thing. You can actually build what I like to call, you can become a celebrity in your own fishbowl. So it's enough to be seen as a thought leader in a small geographic area if all you can do is service a small geographic area. Do you agree?
Yes, that's right. I mean, typical celebrities, we think of movie stars, actresses, actors, musicians. However, now with the internet, the power of the internet, social media, you know, a video can go viral, you know. Anything can happen. Something can go viral and you can suddenly have 12 million views in 3 days, as happened with EJ Love recently with her, the girl that married herself. In 3 days, she had 12 million views, you know, of this video about marrying herself. And she's a sex and relationships coach, you know, so that can happen. And
great. Can you do a campaign like that for me, Aldwyn? I want you to come up with something clever like that. Let's do a brainstorming. Let's do an idea of brainstorming.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming up. Watch this space. Anyone who's watching. So absolutely, you can become a celebrity in your own fishbowl, as you say. I mean, you know, whether you're going to 1 million or 12 million people, you are influencing lots of people with what you're doing. And
enough. Like I did a book launch. So I wrote one of my books was it was called How to Be a Highly Paid Speaker or Trainer. And I just wanted to market to speakers, trainers, and how to be a highly paid speaker, trainer, or consultant. I just wanted to market to those kind of clients, right? I actually got it by doing a bit of a social media campaign. I ended up getting picked up by the National Speakers Association. So I ended up, my book got promoted to the entire National Speakers Association with one very strategic marketing campaign. And they charged me $250. I brought in, you know, to pay for the ad to go out to the whole association of my target market. I had so many people applying to become clients, you know, to learn how to build their speaking business, that we ended up bringing in, I think it was about $200,000 in sales from that campaign. And we ended up with a year's worth of, actually probably about 2 years worth of clients from that one campaign because it worked so well for us. So sometimes you just need a very small, well-targeted, you need to know who your tribe is, who can you help, what's your, you know, who have you got a solution for that really needs your solution. And you will find that if you have the right book and the right message, that there's like, so Russell Brunson's a great example. He put out a book called .com Secrets. He uses books really strategically. He created a software called ClickFunnels, which you may have heard of. It's an online system for helping you with your sales processes. Very clever guy. So he basically, what he did was he was going out and speaking IT and tech support for like some of the big guys, Tony Robbins at his Wealth Mastery events, and Anthony Robbins, and Dan Kennedy. And he was attracting a lot of clients. He was picking up a lot of IT clients, but he started waking up in the morning saying, and this is how he starts his book. So this is a good tip. If you're writing a book to position you as an expert, read Russell's book and see how he's done it. It's really, really good, what he did. He basically tells his story. He's like, I was waking up in the morning and I had this business and I had all these customers, but I was wishing that I could quit. Wishing I could get fired, you know, leave my job because I wasn't doing what I wanted to do anymore. So he ended up, he realized that he was attracting the wrong customers. He was helping people pick a domain name instead of helping them build $1 million funnels. So what he's done when he says that in his introduction is he's already introduced himself to you as the guy that you hire to build you a $1 million funnel. That's a positioning statement, right? So then he said, so what I started doing was I started writing little books about high-level tech stuff like split test results, you know. It's only going to appeal, our top split test results, A/B testing, you know, and that kind of thing, which is only going to appeal to his ideal clients, who are people who are already quite advanced in their IT journey. And he started marketing those using the internet and Facebook and stuff and attracting those high-end clients. And now he has multiple clients paying him $1 million to build them their funnels. So this is how you can use a book very strategically to go out. So he's just put out another one called Expert Secrets, and he's been brilliant with his marketing. He's marketing it. I just got a message on LinkedIn asking me as a publisher, did I want his book launch funnel for all my clients, because, you know, they're marketing, they're always looking for how can they add value to people who are like, so I have a fish bowl, you have a fish bowl, we have followers, right? So if Russell taps into my fish bowl, he's now found not just one customer, but my thousands, right? Yep. It pulls me on as an affiliate or a user of his system, which I now am, you know, a user of his system. So it's like it's very cool how you can use these as a strategic leverage tool to get you in front of the right people. If you write the right book, so I'm always talking to people about, you write the right book and then use that book to get in front of the right people, it can become, all you need is to be an expert in a little bowl. You don't need you don't need millions of followers, you know. 100 or 200 of the right customers will bring in so much business that you can't even handle it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very exciting. Anything is possible for anyone, and it is a matter of putting yourself out there, recognizing you've got a great story to share, and having the courage to step up and step out and share that story. And, of course, having a great team, having someone like Cydney on your team, if you're watching this, to actually help you put the book out if you may be stuck or you don't know where to start, or, you've been thinking about a book for years, but you're really stuck with it.
We'd love to help you. We'd love to help you. And we do everything. We help you write it, plan it. We publish it, we promote it, we format it, we take it to bestseller, we'll help you build your, online sequence, funnel sequence. And then we bring in Aldwyn and she helps you get your media. So, it's a winning combination, right?
That's right. It's win-win-win here. It's all about message to the masses, and we've got all the tools to help you do it. And this book, as I say, Think Big, is just hot off the press. I've just received my copies today of my book with Arnold Schwarzenegger on the cover, you can see there. And this is being launched in LA, is that correct? And around Australia, Cydney. Can you let us know about the launch?
We're doing the first launch. You and I are going to be in LA on the 19th and 20th of October. So like next week, or when we're going to be in LA. We're actually going to a huge media launch event. We're going to have lots of fun. We're going to be going around, doing lots of VIP interviews and, having lots of. We're going to be teaching in a small workshop. We're going to be teaching what we know to help people get their books out and get in the media, and then we're going to go and join the big media launch and have a lot of fun and do the VIP thing. That's on the media launch is on the 21st and 22nd. We're on the 19th and 20th. And it's at the Sheraton Gateway LAX. If you happen to be in LA, we would love you to come along. It's absolutely free. My guests get to come to the media launch as being part of my event, and we're actually feeding you as well, which is like, a nice plus. Awesome. So you get to learn from us, and you get a nice lunch, and you get to come to the big media event. So if you want to, on the 21st and 22nd. And then we're launching the book in Australia, in Sydney, on October 28th. We're having a party in the CBD. We actually were having it at York Street in the middle of the CBD, but we're now thinking that we might move it down to the waterfront because everybody's saying all the authors are saying, we just want to have fun and celebrate. So we might actually move down to the ocean now. Nice. And then we're also having one in the Gold Coast, where a lot of you, where you live, and a lot of our clients are up in the Gold Coast, in the beautiful, gorgeous Gold Coast of Queensland. So we would love it, and that's on the 11th. And you can find out about those just by contacting me or Aldwyn, and it's on Eventbrite. It's called the Think Big Book Launch. So easy to find.
Excellent, excellent. And we do need to wrap up the show. It's been such a pleasure chatting with you, Cydney. Is there any final words you want to leave people with before we wrap up?
So I would love you to go and grab a copy of the book, and so you can see how this all plays out. You'll get, if you go to celebritybookclub.com, you'll be get sent a free copy of the book. I will actually give you a copy of my Millionaires Academy interviews, so you'll get to hear some of those top interviews with the millionaires on how to make $1 million. If you're interested, you don't have to do it, but
that would be nice. That would be nice. That would be lovely. Yeah, thank you.
and then we will let you know of other book opportunities that are coming up. We haven't told Olivia Newton-John yet this, but we're hoping to do one with her because we want to help raise money for her cancer center. So that's kind of what we do. Like the proceeds from this book will go to Arnold's charity. And that's what we want to do for Olivia as well, is to raise some money, and because we love Olivia Newton-John, we just think she's awesome. So, and then that's the next project that we're hoping to pull together. And so, if you want to find out how you can get involved in that, maybe be one of or be in our Celebrity Success Secrets, just contact us. But if you go to Celebrity Book Club, you'll get entered onto my list. You'll get a copy of our book. Please write us a review. We need reviews on Amazon. And thank you for coming on our show. And thanks, Aldwyn, for having me.
Thank you so much. I can't wait for LA. It's so exciting. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be part of this book. It's really, it is the...
Oh, thanks for jumping in. Like, you were one of the first people when I did a webinar. I said, we want to do this. And you were like, I'm in. And I was like, yay! I knew that this was the beginning of something big. I knew that this is going to be a lot of really fun things. So another brand that I'm launching is called Celebrity Adventure Club. And this is my big goal, is that we were going to go to Necker Island to meet with Richard Branson, but Necker Island just got trashed in the in the hurricanes. So poor Richard's having to rebuild. So we're now talking to his team about a different location. which would be kind of cool. You know, we'll do something a bit different.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe do something with Olivia when we get on board with her cancer center. And maybe we can do something to support your animal fund. But for me, it was all about, let's do fun things with celebrities where we actually are building our brands, but we're also having lifestyle experiences. You know, we're like stepping up to another level, you know, and it's all starting to happen.
Yeah.
And the LA event is our first celebrity adventure club adventure.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And just any final words of wisdom for people, because you know, you mentioned some of your ups and downs you've had. You've certainly overcome some big challenges in your life, including overcoming cancer and some business challenges, etc. So for people maybe watching this now who might just need some inspiration now, is there any words of inspiration you'd like to leave them about how you do life, or how you recommend that people do life?
I would have to say that you've just got to think bigger, you know, and on the topic, that's why we called this book Think Big, because one of the reasons that Arnold really inspired me was he was like, people told him that he couldn't make it in bodybuilding, and he was one of the youngest bodybuilding champions ever because he just didn't listen to the naysayers, you know. And then he decided that he wanted to be an actor, and they said to him, mate, you're got the wrong shape, you've got a terrible name, nobody can understand you. And he just didn't take no, right? And he became a big mega movie star. And then when he decided to get into politics, he said he went for the highest role in politics. He said, I didn't go for mayor. He went for the highest role in American politics that he could take as somebody who wasn't born in the country, right? And that was governor of the 5th largest economy in the world. And then, and that's what I think, you know, this is why he inspired me so much, because this is a man who just is such a big thinker. And in my lifetime, I've achieved incredible things. It's taken me a long time to realize that, like, to be worth $60 million in my you know 30s, to stand at the stock exchange and watch your company float to the public, you know, sell your company to the public and have it be the most successful technology float ever in Australia at the time. To build as many businesses as I have, you know, to teach myself to trade the stock market and make millions of dollars a year, to teach myself to do real estate investing, to teach myself publishing. What are we capable of if we find a passion and follow it, you know? Was it always easy? No, there was lots and lots of challenges along the way. But what I've learned is I never thought big enough. Like, I thought bigger than most people, but I should have been thinking even bigger. I'm always having to push myself. Is that big enough, you know? But then manage it. You got to manage it. Like, you've got to be realistic that it's going to take a little bit to actually happen. But I think if you can set those really cool goals, you know, set really big goals for yourself, you know, with vision boards and affirmations, and take the time. You were saying earlier that, you know, we just need to take a little time every day to start really focusing on getting to our goals, you know, making them public so people can help us get there, right? It is amazing how quickly it happens when you actually start bringing a collaborative force of people to help you achieve your goals. And when you put your passion behind it, people connect with you on that level, right? And then they really want to help you and they want to get involved. So, you know, Zig Ziglar said that the world is absolutely full of people with their umbilical cords hanging out and they're looking for someone to plug into. And why don't, you know, let it be you. Let them plug into you and support you and lift you so that you can lift them along with you. So that's my philosophy.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautifully said. And a quote that I absolutely love that I have on the bottom of my emails is, a small group of thoughtful people can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. And that's a Margaret Mead quote.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, got goosebumps.
I love that quote.
Yeah.
And, you know, really, by sharing your story, you could change a life. You know, you're leaving a legacy for your family and friends, and you can actually change a life by sharing your inspiring story. So I encourage everyone watching this to step up and step out and share your story and connect with people like Cydney. Is absolutely awesome to help make your dreams come true and connect you with celebrities and build a celebrity brand. And I'm so looking forward to LA, and congratulations on the book, Cydney, and really looking.
Thank you, Aldwyn. Congratulations to you on your best-selling book.
Thank you, and thank you, and looking forward to seeing your ongoing success. And I think we'll do a few more shows down the track and track your progress, because it's on
wonderful
upwards and so much more to see yet from this space. So thanks once again, Cydney. Thank you for everyone for joining us. So again, that website for people to connect with you, Cydney.
Celebritybookclub.com.
Excellent.
We want to get it out there. I paid a lot of money for that domain, so we want to get everybody going and using it. Yeah.
CelebrityBookClub.com. Make sure you connect there. Thank you so much for watching us wherever you are. And if you like what you've seen, please like the video on YouTube, subscribe to the Aldwyn Altuney YouTube channel, share the video. We'd love to see your comments. If you've got any questions, comments, feedback, we'd love to see that too. Just pop it underneath.
And you're a great interviewer, Aldwyn. You let me do all the talking. I loved it. Thank
you. Thank you. I did go with the flow with the interviews, and you're just so fascinating to listen to. So I just let you flow with it, and it was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Really good. Really good. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and I hope I get to see you at one of our events, or help grab the book, and let's hopefully build a relationship together. Right, Orman?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're all about win-win here. So we want win-win scenarios, and that's what we'd love to create with you. So thanks so much. Thank you for joining us wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a fantastic day and focusing on the things that you can be grateful for in your life right now, such as food and shelter, and for having fantastic opportunities such as Cydney has just presented.
And being alive. Be happy that you're alive and healthy. If you're alive and healthy, if you're breathing, you're doing well.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much we can be grateful for, so it's always good to remember that. Thanks again. You've been watching Business Xpose TV. We've been with the lovely Cydney O'Sullivan, and we're hot off the press with Think Big with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's being launched around Australia and in LA, so hop onto CelebrityBookClub.com. And here is Cydney with the book. I'll just go over to her. Show us that book there again, Cydney. Your one's a little bit different. Excellent. Fantastic. So you'll see that Cydney had her face on the cover, and I've got my face on the cover, and it's a beautiful thing.
These are business tools for us. These are our business tools, right? And plus, we want to impress all those people that didn't believe that we were going to amount to anything in high school, right?
That's right. That's right. We can say, well, we've done it, and where are you right now? Okay, so and it's it's an ongoing journey, and the main thing is to enjoy the ride, enjoy the roller coaster ride of life, and make the most of every moment. Thank you so much, Cydney. You're a true blessing in my life, and I'm really thankful for you, and I look forward to working with you a lot more in future. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll be back again soon with some more shows. Bye for now.